So welcome, we are live, and this is my opportunity to introduce you to a new colleague who I have a great deal of respect for, Justin Vajko. Justin is a video producer, but he has a very interesting twist on it. And before we get into the twist, Justin, tell us about how you got to do what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy, for having me on. I'm happy to do that. So in the fall of 22, I was running a marketing agency, and we were doing a little bit of everything for everybody, and had this opportunity to do a video session for a client, and it was too expensive to do it on site. I thought, okay, fine, let's do it remotely. We just learned about this new software, Riverside, that we use. And so we did use that, and then worked with a client out of LA to do a remote video session, interviewed them, and it went all right. And then from that experience, I realized, hey, there's a market for this type of work that we're doing. And I wonder if there's other entrepreneurs out there who are extremely busy, too busy to do anything. They just need somebody to make time with them, get on their calendar and ask them questions, prompts about what they do. And yeah, lo and behold, yep, there is a market. So that's why I've been doing this for about 2 years now.
And so I'm putting the shoe on the other foot here, because now I'm asking you questions about yourself. And
yeah, that's right.
I know, it's fun. And we're using a different platform. We're using StreamYard instead of Riverside, but there are a number of platforms, in case people are wondering, where you can access in order to go live on LinkedIn. Facebook, you don't need a special platform, but LinkedIn you do. Yeah. So there you are. You discovered, by helping your client get their message out, that you realized there could be more applications. So share with us exactly what slant you take on this, because busy entrepreneurs want to know.
Yeah. So the whole take, you said it, the word busy. I mean, we worked with this initial client, was the #1 broker in LA, extremely busy guy, couldn't make time for creating content. So we got on his calendar, in 30 minutes, we were done. And that's essentially the same offer we have for folks today, where I recognize there are a lot of really smart people out there, a lot of founders, a lot of entrepreneurs who are well known in very tight circles and well loved by their customers and a few folks outside of that group, but they're really not well known online. So in just that 1 hour per month, we carve out with them and get on their calendar. We ask them questions. We get to know them and get their content, and then they're done and they can move on, so that they can get outside of those small circles of influence and grow their circles of influence, and as a result, grow their business with their thought leadership.
And so you do the interviewing, you do the editing, and you create small pieces of content. Yeah. Is it strictly video, Justin, or do you also have other medium like a transcript or anything else?
Yeah, so the end result are these edited videos, these shorts, if you will, that also includes a written post to go with it. One of the mistakes I made early on was assuming all our clients would want is these short videos, and we'd give the videos to the clients, and 9 out of 10 clients would never post the videos. And I was just scratching my head, why are they not doing it? And it came down to, guess what? They don't have time. So last summer, we added in full service, where we now write the posts and publish for them. And we actually even do performance reporting every 3 months. Now, beyond that whole service of video, yes, they also get access to the raw footage and the transcripts from our time together that they or their teams, if they desire, can repurpose into blog posts and other types of content. So it's a lot of founders, I just wrote a post about this morning, a lot of founders and a lot of people in general think of video as this vanity content. Like, if I do all the other things, then I'll do video. But I challenge that and I say, flip that on its head. What if you did video first? Because then it allows you to do all the other things. Because then from that, you get a transcript, you get footage, and it makes all the other content way more easy to do. And that's what we enable our clients to do, is do a video first approach.
So you use that word vanity. I want to go back to that, because I think one of the hangups that some people have is that they do feel self-conscious about video. And I'm wondering how you coach people, how you overcome that, because again, that busy entrepreneur, they love what they do, which is my favorite person to work with. But when it comes to the marketing, the sales, these sorts of things, they're a little shy about this. So tell me, how do you coach them to get over that?
Yeah. I would say 80% of the discomfort
Mhm.
gets removed just by the process of having someone else there with you.
Ah,
It's this really interesting thing that happens when you want to do video content. You're really seeking to get into the flow, right? When we're talking with clients, when we're talking with friends, we can easily get into the flow because there's no pressure. We're not being recorded. We're not on a stage. So what we do in these sessions is use a variety of tools and techniques, but ultimately just this friendly, no pressure environment we try to create emotionally for our clients so that when they show up, they're getting into that flow as easily as possible. So we're asking the questions, we're listening, and then we're asking follow-up questions. And we're reminding them over and over, depending on the client, we may need to do more of this or less, but we're reminding them, hey, you're just talking to me. There's no one else. We can cut whatever we don't like. Reminders like that are helpful.
nice, very nice. So I'm going to ask maybe a question you haven't heard before, and that is for clients who've been with you a while. And so you know them pretty well, and you've brought out lots of information over time, etc. How do you freshen up, or how do you keep, what new questions or what new areas do you probe into with that long-standing client?
Yeah, that's a great question. How do you keep things relevant? How do you ask relevant questions? Don't you run out of content at some point? Is another way to ask that. Wouldn't we just run out of topics? And the short answer is no, you don't. The best content creators on LinkedIn know how to turn one topic into a bunch of subtopics and take each subtopic into its own subtopic and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, you're still talking about the big picture item, but you're talking about different angles of it. So we work, for example, with an ADHD coach, Brett Green. He's on LinkedIn and other platforms. And Brett talks about ADHD in the workplace. Well, there are a lot of different angles you can talk about when it comes to ADHD in the workplace. We've talked about treadmill desks, everything from treadmill desks to having a conversation with your boss about you just found out you have ADHD and how do you have that conversation and tips for that. So we never run out of content ideas. What we do, logistically, practically speaking, with our clients is we're doing a couple things. One, we're looking out for content for them throughout the month. That's part of the job. We're their partner. We're looking out for ideas. We do that a lot with Brett, for example. Helps that I have ADHD, so that's a really easy one. But for other clients, we're looking at topics and we're saving those and we're putting them into a Google Doc. And then the other thing is we use ChatGPT and other LLMs to help us develop questions. Usually we don't use more than 50% of those. They're too generic, but we'll use that as a launch pad to get the juices flowing. And then the third thing that typically happens as we get to know our clients is we start to get to know what questions we need to ask next. One of my favorite things that we do when we're having these sessions with clients is they'll say something on the side, like they'll say the main point and then they'll say something on the side and then we'll write it down because that was an interesting thing. Why did you say that? We'll come back and then guess what? That's a topic for a future video.
Yeah. So it becomes organic, and you never run out of topics. And
No.
you're absolutely right that any expert, you can't say too often or too much about what it is they do because it takes so many touch points before somebody recalls, remembers, even thinks that, oh my goodness, this is an ADHD coach. I didn't know that. I mean, and yet that's what this person has been speaking about all along.
Yeah.
So you're right. These are some of the things that you can provide for your clients. Is there something else that I might have left out that gives an inside look into what you do for people?
So I'm trying to think what's an inside look. The biggest thing is that we're not setting up environments for our clients that they're not that are high stakes, high production. What we're essentially doing is we're helping them just use their phones and doing this all remotely using their phones. All of our clients use the same equipment that we use, that we have. So I can coach them specifically on how to use it. So when we often think about, oh, I've got to do video, there's a lot of obstacles or objections we have. Oh, I don't know what to say and I don't have the time. But one of them is I don't have the right equipment. And so what we do with our clients is when we onboard them, we kind of figure out what do they need for equipment. And usually it's a nice lav mic or lapel mic. And then we help them set it up as well. So it's really designed to be as low cost as possible. None of our clients ever spend more than $400 total on a complete set of equipment. That's the high end. Most clients spend less than $100. But the whole point of it is meant to be, let's just make this as frictionless as possible, as easy as possible. And it really is. We get feedback over and over from our clients. Wow, I can't believe it was that easy. That's the point we're aiming for.
Do you have a particular niche market that you particularly like to work with?
You know what? That's a great question, because in general, we work with B2B founders, and that's across various verticals, right? But that's kind of a niche, but it's a very, very broad. Like we have financial services, we have executive coaches, we have a consulting firm, things like that. But my favorite is working with these founders who have some type of attachment to mental health. I was just talking with somebody about it this last week, and I had a sudden moment of realization when I was going through, who do you work with? Oh, we work with 2 executive coaches, and we work with a coaching firm, and we work with a VC founder who also does coaching. So there's a theme all of a sudden I noticed where I was like, oh, we work with a lot of people who have a portion of their business or all of it dedicated toward helping other people be better at what they do in their own individual respective fields. And that's my favorite, because then I'm always learning myself about human psychology and these types of, it's like I'm getting to enjoy reading a nice book all the time. I'm just learning all the time from my clients. That's my favorite kind. Ultimately, though, I mean, all my clients teach me new things. We have a financial services company. I've learned a lot about, stock options and all this stuff just by interviewing them. But yeah, there's probably more of a bent I have. My favorites are the ones who deal with human psychology and incorporate that into their business.
That's nice to know. I'm sure that some of the people viewing this will appreciate that. And by the way, so that viewers can get in touch with you, of course, you're here on LinkedIn, but we want to make sure that you put something in the, underneath in the comments so that people can connect with you. And any last thoughts before we sign off?
No, thanks for the time, Nancy. It's always fun to be able to talk about video marketing and the importance of it. I want to remind your people. This is something I want to encourage the viewers of your live watching this. Everyone who's been there, done that, has good things to say. This is not something that's reserved only to the people who are great on camera. This video marketing, I believe, my vision is that I want to give a voice to those who deserve it most. And often those who deserve it most are the quietest founders who like to work behind the scenes. And I want to encourage those founders, get out there and start talking. There are ways to do it without the stress, without the brouhaha, without the vanity, where you're just talking with us. Because if more of those kinds of folks can be enabled to have greater voices, we're going to have less of the people who shouldn't have greater voices. Unfortunately, we see that all the time. People who shouldn't be talking are talking. So that's my last encouragement is I want to see those people get out there and put themselves out there, as scary as it is, because it's going to make a difference. It's going to help them. It's going to help more people.
I like that very much, Justin. And those of you, of course, who are watching the replay, let us know. You can tell that it'd be very easy to have a conversation with Justin. I know he's a good listener. He will ask good questions. And of course, he's going to put you in the best possible light. So thank you very much for sharing your expertise here. To your sales success, it's Nancy Zier, the Sales Whisperer, along with
Justin Vajko. Thank you very much.
Okay, to your sales